The Russian sleep experiment was conducted by Russian researchers in the 1940s to test the effects of sleep deprivation on World War II political prisoners. The prisoners were kept locked inside a chamber, into which the researchers fed an experimental gas-based stimulant to keep them awake. The prisoners' oxygen levels were carefully monitored, as the gas was toxic in high concentrations. The prisoners were observed using microphones and 5-inch thick glass porthole windows. The chamber was stocked with books, cots without bedding, running water, a toilet, and enough dried food to last roughly a month. The prisoners were also falsely promised that they would be freed if they submitted to the test and did not sleep for 30 days. During the first 5 days nothing happened, although after day 4 the conversations began to get darker. From day 6 the prisoners began complaining about how they were put in that situation. They also showed signs of severe paranoia. They stopped talking to each other and instead started whispering into the microphones. They each tried to turn in the other prisoners, thinking it would endear them to the researchers. From day 9 one of the prisoners started screaming. He'd run up and down the chamber screaming at the top of his lungs for hours on end until he lost his voice. Strangely, none of the other prisoners reacted to his behaviour. Instead, they simply continued whispering into the microphones. Soon after, a second prisoner began to scream. The non-screaming prisoners then ripped apart the books, smeared them in feces, and covered the porthole windows with them. As soon as they did that, both the screaming and the whispering stopped. That was followed by 3 days of silence. The researchers regularly checked the microphones to make sure they were still working. The oxygen consumption in the chamber indicated all 5 were still alive. On the 14th day, the researchers tried to provoke a reaction from the prisoners. On the intercom, they said they were opening the chamber door. They said, "If you move, we'll shoot you, and if you comply, one of you will be let free." One voice came back and said, "We no longer want to be free." The chamber was opened on the 15th day. As the gas left the chamber, 3 voices begged them to turn it back on. Soldiers were sent in to get the prisoners out. Only 4 of the 5 were still alive though. No food had been eaten after day 5. There were chunks of meat from the dead prisoners' thighs and chest. They'd been stuffed into the drain in the centre of the chamber. That blocked it up, which meant there was 4 inches of water and blood in the chamber now. The surviving 4 all had muscles and skin torn away from their bodies. Their wounds appeared to be self-inflicted. Their abdominal organs had been removed. They continued to scream and beg to be left inside the chamber with the gas on. One of the Russian soldiers died, another one had his testicles ripped off, and a few of the others killed themselves in the weeks after the incident. One of the prisoners died from a ruptured spleen. The remaining 3 were taken to a medical facility. One of them died of heart failure on the operating table. The others had their surgery done without anaesthetic. They were laughing the whole time. After the surgery, one of them said to the surgeon, "Keep cutting." When asked why they want the gas again, they simply said, "I must remain awake." They were placed back inside the chamber, and when asked, "What are you?" one of them said, "We are you. We are what you hide from in your beds every night."